Well, hello, vinyl community. Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records, and it's the first of the new year, which means it's Vinyl Tag 2024 time. Rob Walker, one of the most beloved men in the vinyl community, has got our 20 questions, and the videos have started. So here I go without any further ado. Number one asked me for my favorite purchase of 2023, and that would be this box set. Playing for the Man at the Door. Field recordings from the collection of Mac McCormick, 1958 to 1971. And number two asks for your last purchase of 2023. I cleaned it. I did play it one time, and then I got it out and was going to put it up, and I fumbled. It was football bowl season, and I fumbled, and I dropped that sucker right flat. So I've got to clean it again. I almost forgot. On Prestige, the Clifford Browne Quartet in Paris, and he was touring. I forgot who he was touring with, but he was touring Europe at this time, and they had strict orders in their spare time not to go out there and record with anybody while they were in Europe. And of course, what did Clifford Browne do? He went out and he recorded in Europe. And okay, number three, 2 or more LPs in the same year. I just finished reading the biography of Leon Russell. Highly recommend that book if anyone's interested in reading musician biographies. And in 1973, he released this not one, not two, but triple album, Leon Live. Not the greatest audiophile. It's not an audiophile recording at all, but a fun album, and you really get a feel for Leon in concert during that period. A lot of people thought Leon was raised in a church with lots of fervent music in it. He was a Methodist like me. He was raised in a church where the singing is not the highlight of your Sunday morning, let me tell you. It's pretty bland and boring. But he was inspired a lot by the singing from the Church of God in Christ, the gospel type singing that they did. And that album, man, it is like being at a tent revival. And he made a point of warning people because he could get you into a frenzy. He made a point of telling people to be careful, that the same thing he was doing in a concert, the way he could bring that whole crowd as one into a frenzy and could get them to do most anything. It's the same thing that Hitler had done in Germany in the 1930s and into the 40s. And he said, beware of people who will use that skill to manipulate you. And word of warning, happens in the 2020s too if you're not careful. That same year, 1973, he came out with this album. Now here he is, the biggest rock star. In 1972, he and Led Zeppelin were the highest grossing acts in rock and roll and in music in general that year. Led Zeppelin grossed more, but he netted more because of the way he toured. He had some strategy behind it that paid off. But what is the biggest rock star in America doing? Making a country album. This is Hank Wilson Is Back, Volume 1. I remember when this album came out, and this is, I think I've got my copy from then. This is not, it's another copy of it. But great album, but it's a country album. I love country, but a whole lot of rock and roll people, especially in early 1970s, did not. It would still be a couple more years before the outlaw movement would captivate audiences. So he did both those albums in 1973. Hank Wilson Is Back and Leon Live. And number 4 4 is the decade. Well, I think everybody's probably going to say the same thing on this. The decade, if I had to pick one decade of music, it would be the 1970s. I think everybody's going to pretty much say the decade where they were an impressionable young teen. 6. The most listened to artist in the last year. That's another easy one. Because I really just gobbled up as much as I could of her records. I probably bought 4 or 5 Ella Fitzgerald records in 2023. And number 7 shows 7 6-inch records. I really don't have a lot of 45s, as I call them, but I pick up a few when I pick up collections and things like that. And I've gathered a few. Well, the only 45s I really get with intent or something relative to my location, artists, regional artists, and things like that. But these are a few. How about the? This is just one I got in the collection. The Shoop Shoop song, "It's in His Kiss" from Betty Everett on VJ, and it's backed by Hands Off. Rules don't apply for handling records when we're talking about 45s, right? I can just hold this like this. I don't think it matters with 45s. Wilson Pickett on Atlantic. I found a True Love backed by For Better or Worse. And on Polydor, here's a promo copy. And this is both sides of it, same song, because it's a promo. Turn it this way. James Browne, Let the Funk Flow. Okay. And from a collection of a friend of mine, here's the cover of it. Anybody remember Sergeant Barry Sandler and the Ballad of the Green Berets, backed by a letter from home? He was stationed at what was then Fort Bragg, what is now known as Fort Liberty. There's the record, Ballad of the Green Berets. Very big, important record. He was stationed just literally less than 20 miles that way from my house. Fort Liberty now was Fort Bragg then. And here's one on Lil Records. This is a gentleman from my community. He's passed away now, named Curtis Temple. When he was 18 years old, he wrote a song about Apollo 11, the men landing on the moon, and got it recorded. And this is Curtis Temple, Journey of Apollo 11. Not many of these records out there, but I remember I was 10 years old when that came out. And then the big band that we followed when we were in our teens and 20s, it still plays some shows today. From Hood Swamp Records, Super Grit Cowboy Band, and this is Sweet Lady, which made it maybe in the 60s in the country charts, maybe 68 or 74 or 59 or something like that. And on the other side, Semi Diesel Blues. And Clyde Maddox, the leader of that band, Hood Swamp Records. My daughter lives not far today from Hood Swamp, North Carolina, which is literally a swamp. It's not really it's not a town or community or anything. It's just a little area out in the country. And here's one I got from a friend of mine's collection, 45 from the Executives. And on the other side, they do Red Hot Henry Browne, China Boy, Bye Bye Blues, and Laura's Theme from Dr. Zhivago. I listened to it once or twice. So number 8 is The Dinner Party. I can invite 4 people, and I decided I wanted to invite Buddy Holly because I thought he could have some great stories about those caravan tours that they did way back when. Louis Armstrong, because I think he was a very, very deep and interesting person. I'd love to hear his stories about the early days of jazz in New Orleans and growing up in New Orleans and life on the road and the struggles and triumphs he had in his life. Not Les Paul, I want to invite Mary Ford. Many people contended back in the day that while Les Paul was an excellent guitar player, Mary Ford was actually the better guitarist in there. And so I think I'd love to hear Mary tell about being on the, being considered second banana in the duo, when actually maybe she was the best in the duo. And the fourth person I'd invite is Rita Coolidge. Now Rita had a very, very interesting life. Still, she's living though. Rita's still with us. I would love for Rita to tell. There's another beautiful picture of Rita to tell some stories about her adventures in rock and roll. She had not one but 2 songwriting credits stolen from her, which would have probably made her a millionaire. If you want to know which the 2 are, you'll have to read. If you don't already know, you'll need to read the Leon Russell book. Not one, but 2 songwriting credits stolen from her of huge songs. And so those 4 is who I would like to have for dinner. And a artist that has passed away, lost so many great artists. We lost Jimmy Buffett this year, and I love Jimmy Buffett. He was such a great songwriter. Now, he put out about 4 or 5 great albums for ABC, and great songwriting. He selected great songs that he covered as well, and he just doesn't get his due. This is an excellent album, this A1A on here, but those first albums were all excellent. And let's see, number 10, one country. If I had to only listen to music from one country, I hate to be that way, but I'm going to have to say the United States. It's a huge country, and really the reason I would say that is influences from all over the world, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from the British Isles, from Eastern Europe, from Germany, that Eastern Europe area that became Germany, from India, from everywhere, have swept into the United States, and it makes it such a melting pot for music. And so you get so many influences, some very obvious and some very subtle. And then we've got 3 channels you discovered this year you'd have to like to do a shout out for. And my 3 channels are Craig Danger, vinyl record player. Craig is great. He loves soul music, a lot of other music too, but especially soul music. And he loves to show those soul records he has discovered, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for knowing so much about soul and for finding these records, often very inexpensive records that are out there for all of us to enjoy. So listen when Craig does a video or he comes on a live stream and shows you some records, listen to what he has to say, because he may turn you on to some music you really like. The next person is a Vinyl Dreamscape. That's Sean. Sean is on a lot of the live streams. He does videos. I just watched a video today he did about Gene Clark. But he has a wide variety. He's very eclectic. And my 3rd shout out is DJ Vinyl Vertigo. That's Scott down in Tampa. Scott is a wonderful channel I discovered this year. He participates in some of those live streams. He does videos, and he has very eclectic taste. He DJs. So those are 3. Vinyl Dreamscape, DJ Vinyl Vertigo. Vinyl Dreamscape is Sean. DJ Vinyl Vertigo is Scott. And Craig Danger, the vinyl record player, obviously is Craig. An album bought as a teen. Came out when I was 14 years old, getting ready to turn 15 that fall. Came out in the late summer, August, I believe. No album had a greater effect on my musical journey these last 65 years than when I was 14 years old and I heard this album, Brothers and Sisters, from the Allman Brothers. And to me, one of the best album covers out there, because it epitomizes the message they tried to convey. They couldn't always live up to it, but that of a community, of a family, not necessarily related by blood, but a family nonetheless, with all their warts and everything, because there were. But this is a great album. I always say, if Live at Fillmore East is a sweaty, hot Saturday night at the juke joint, then Brothers and Sisters is a cool, breezy Sunday afternoon at the lake. That's the difference between those two albums. Okay? And a show a soul record. Okay, I was just thinking about all the different soul records I could show. I've got right many. I think Discog says I have 230 soul records categorized, which is pretty good. But this is an artist that my wife and I, when we were dating and first married, he would come through Fayetteville, which is not known as a big spot for live music. It's a military town. It's kind of rough. But we would go there on Bragg Boulevard to this club, and we would see Little Royal. And this is called Jealous, Little Royal album. He is basically ripping off James Browne, but it's my understanding he did so with James Browne's consent. And he had a minor hit with, I was thinking it was called Switchblade, it was called Razorblade. Razorblade had a minor hit with Razorblade, and that's on this album. And if you search him, you'll probably find he appeared on a local Ohio, local on Dayton or Columbus or somebody, local soul soul music TV show, a local version of Soul Train, I guess you would say. And he appears on there, and they're going to play the record, Razorblade, and they want him to perform it. Of course, they're playing the record as they did in TV back then. And he said, there was supposed to be a dance to it. Well, he didn't have a dance to go with it. He's just making this up as he goes, and he's doing like this, like he's got a razor blade and stuff like that. So it's kind of cute to see that and everything. But Little Royal was an excellent. I hope he's still living. I know he's from the D.C. area, and I guess what it was, Fayetteville's right there on Interstate 95. So it's a kind of a circuit he would run and play Fayetteville every few months maybe or something like that. But he's cool, and it's good music. Let me tell you, it's really good. Okay, and so that was a soul record. Let's see. 14 says, everyone knows or everyone has this record, and then a record you don't think anybody probably has, but you. I think everybody probably has Sgt. Pepper's from the Beatles. I know I've got 2 or 3 versions that I've just accumulated over time. So everybody's probably got that. And everybody's probably doesn't have The Shoreman. This album is Meet the Shoreman. Thanks for Loving Me. This is a gospel group, and they're great singers. Gospel group out of generally the Sanford area. I'm about 22 miles to be exact, I think, from Sanford, one county over. And our sheriff in Harnett County, his name is was named Lewis Rosser. He was sheriff for 20 years or more. And there's Lewis Rosser, and he's singing baritone with the Shoremen. He always performed with a gospel group, and that probably helped his political career, getting reelected as sheriff so many times. And then 15 to show a female artist in 2023. Who do you think I'm going to show, people? Female artist. It's Molly Tuttle in Golden Highway. Molly Tuttle. Great guitarist, band leader, singer, songwriter, extraordinaire. I highly recommend you check out Molly. This is a really good album, City of Gold. I think her Crooked Tree album from 2022 is a little bit better, but this is still very good. And the favorite video that I did this year, and the favorite video that someone else did. I did a video called Tommy Jarrell Fiddle Mentor. And I put a lot of time in that. I worked hard. I did a lot of research. I planned it out specifically, what I wanted to say and show and the points I wanted to emphasize. And I put it together as an historical document. And I did it 6 months or 10 months ago, something like that. 55 people in total have clicked on it. How many have watched more than a minute of it? Probably not many. But man, I put my heart and soul in that video. Tommy Gerald was a great, great gentleman. He was a fiddler, playing in a very unique style for that community that he lived in. And after he retired from working for the Department of Transportation, driving a grader truck, I believe it was, he had time once again after years of raising a family and working all his life. When he retired, he was able to pick the fiddle back up and play all those tunes his daddy and uncle and neighbors had taught him when he was young. And he spent the rest of his life on Saturday nights. People from all over, not just the community, but all over the country, and not just the country, all over the world, traveled to his little house in Mount Airy and sat in that little house and learned from him, learned those tunes and learned those skills. And the video, my favorite video by someone else, was the Vinyl Soup #2 from the Reverend Rock and Rollin'. And that is a great video. I wished he had continued that series of Vinyl Soup. It was great. There's a lot of work though, so I can understand why he couldn't keep doing it. But you need to go pull Reverend Rock and Roll's Vinyl Soup #2 out. It's the one that features the jazz bums, the expose on the jazz bums, and their drop-offs, their railroad track exchanges of records, jazz records. And it also covers the Mazzy Fremer controversy involving martinis and humming gurus. And it also features a guy wearing a wolf outfit doing a vinyl video. It's wonderful. Check it out. And number 17 is a 90s classic. Did not have to even pause. Lucinda Williams, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road, originally only released as a CD. Music on Vinyl released this in 2014, but this is the masterpiece of the 1990s right here, folks. The masterpiece. And number 18 is Walk Into a Cover. Couldn't decide which album, but any of the Little Feat albums, I would say. But let's go with Down on the Farm. Let's walk into this, take a swim in the pool, chat up this what looks to me to be a former movie star, a retired movie star in Hollywood that is a duck, and her friend the tiger. Notice the tiger right here. And wouldn't this be interesting? I wonder who else is outside the borders of the picture. I think there's probably more people there than just these two. So that's the one I'd want to walk into. And let's see, feels like a greatest hits, but it's not a greatest hits. Because I guess the premise, for Rob, is you just know these songs and love this album so much when you put it on, it's just like one after the other. That also was not a difficult one for me to decide on. Elite Hotel, Emmylou Harris. This has got Amarillo, Together Again, the great Buck Owens song. Feeling Single, Seeing Double. Sin City from Graham Parsons. One of These Days. Till I Gain Control Again, the great Rodney Crowell song. Here, There, and Everywhere. A Beatles connection. Hey, we got a Beatles connection. I already did two things with the Beatles already today. Oh, Las Vegas, which is Graham Parsons, co-written by Graham Parsons. Don Gibson's Sweet Dreams. Hank Williams' Jambalaya. Satan's Jewel Crown by Edgar L. Eden, the great gospel song. Love it, love it. and Chris Hillman and Graham Parsons' song Wheels. Emmylou Harris, Elite Hotel. Nothing but great songs. And finally, wrapping it up, number 20 is a 1974 release. It's 1974. By now I'm 15, getting ready to turn 16, and Jackson Browne releases Late for the Sky. This is the album, the reflective singer-songwriter album for that teenage kid suffering from that teenage angst, and just that's it right there. It's only 8 songs on there, and they're all great. David Lindley playing lap steel and guitar, and it's got Late for the Sky. It's got A Fountain of Sorrow, Farther Along, The Late Show, The Road in the Sky, For a Dancer, Walking Slow Down the Avenue to My Old Neighborhood, and Before the Deluge. What a great. People underestimate, or people don't appreciate in the 2020s, the great singer-songwriters like this. We should. That's it. I ran way too long, but I enjoy doing these tags. And if anybody's still watching, which I doubt there are many, let's remind everybody to be kind to your neighbors, because we're all neighbors. And do your own tag too. I want to see it.